Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we are presenting webinar on Know Your Strength, organized by Applied Science and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. The main agenda of this webinar is to help youth discover their true potential and let them shine in their life. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce today's guest speaker, Bhavna Shah. She has specialized in international trade relations and currently is serving as regional head of Malaysian Palm Oil Council for India and Sri Lanka. She is also president, Maharashtrian chapter, MSME and Startup Forum for Atmanirbhar Bharat. She has also worked as independent director of Rusi Soya Industries Limited. With a personal passion, she is a keynote speaker and a vocal supporter of women's role in an ever evolving world. She has nearly 27 years of business experience and manages product promotion, sustainability, and industry policy environment in India. She is also co-author or Amazon best-selling book titled Undefeated and the first woman to receive Global Person of the Year award for overall contribution to the vegetable oil trade and industry in 2018. She has also been awarded by Skodet Asia in 2017, Indian Medical Association in 2010, and by MPOC in 2018 as the Employee of the Year. Being a strong and decisive leader, she feels an urge to help and motivate others through a website of their own. It's a privilege to welcome you, ma'am, and you can start with the session.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. Hite, to answer your question, am I making a PowerPoint presentation? No. During my growing up period, when I was studying, even our institutions would invite experts from various fields to address us, to share some important lessons with us. And I'm sure they must have been very good at what they did and what they spoke to us. But I'll be very honest with you, I don't remember any one of that. I do not remember the PowerPoint. I don't even remember their names. I only remember one professor who, at the end of his talk, showed us a magic trick. So that's the only person I remember because of the magic trick. So therefore, I decided I am not going to make any PowerPoint and bore you. I would rather try to have an interaction with you. Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring monologue. And I also hope that maybe after the end of the session, even if you pick up one point and you can create a magic in your life, then my today's session, my job is done. Okay, so that was my answer to your question. Now, I have another question for you. If you have world's best coach, best mentor, would you choose to be trained on your strengths, or you would seek his or her help to overcome your weak areas? Maybe if you could share your answers here, I'll look at the chat. What would you prefer, to work on your strengths or to work on your weakness? We will come to it. We'll respond to that question as we go through this presentation. Strength, everyone is saying strength. Okay, Mr. Mystery, yes, you prefer your weak areas. See, I don't blame you. The topic is strength, so you all have come up with that idea of strength. That's nice. And if it's your own thought process, definitely wonderful. But, typically in Indian families also, we've seen that they always say that you work on your weaknesses. Because okay, you're good in English or you're good in literature, work on your math, that's your weak area. See what, now there's a new science, and I'm quite sold to it, that your weakness will never become your strength. So focus on your strength, but of course you still have to manage your weaknesses. But your weakness, if you're good in literature, work a little harder, you may have a better score. Math, you're not, to pass you will require all the subjects, you need to pass in all the subjects. So maybe yes, you will have to manage other subjects, but focus on the one where you can excel. So my topic today is about know your strength. You see, many times, why do people respond differently in same situation? Like in your classroom today, we have so many students. When I ask this question, some answered strength, some said weakness. We all think differently. We're all wired differently. You see, sometimes people have these inherent things. For some reason, they're afraid of dark, or they're afraid of heights. Sometimes you see there are children from same family, same upbringing, same educational background, yet they turn out to be very different personalities, and they go into completely different career. So why does this happen? What is personality trait? Now strength comes much later. Before that, you need to understand, who am I, who are you? So it's a very soul searching journey if you take it spiritually, but it's a very, very important journey. Like they say, all journeys start inwards. So, similarly, it is very important to first understand yourself before you can come to a decision or conclusion that these are my strengths. Now, how do you know yourself? You close your eyes and, go into the internal meditation zone. Not easy. Everyone talks about it. It's a fancy word now. Or you wait for a yogi baba to come and give you an answer that this is, what your life journey is going to be like. But problem is, you will spend your entire life to find such an evolved, genuine, true yogi nowadays. Another way is that you may find the answers, you may know what your talents are, you may understand your strengths, but it may take a lot of trial and error. You may take half your lifetime to know your talent and other half to implement it. So how do we make it easy for you, especially all of you are standing at the crossroads of your life? You are at that very important era. Very soon you will be out in the real world and deciding your career path. Or maybe some of you may also decide to go in for higher studies. So these are very, very important decisions. These are going to be very important milestones, or if not dealt with correctly, then it may become your pitfalls. So how do you understand what are your strengths? What is your talent? Okay. Now, every generation, why it's even more important right now for you? Because I remember the generation before us, life was very simple. They finished their studies and they picked up a job. It was only important to have, they were living paycheck to paycheck. It was very simple to have a roof over your head, get married, children, and the thinking and living was quite simple. And that was good enough. It worked. Then came the time where people would go after their education, pick up a job, and then at the job they would learn. No B school can teach you everything. There's a lot of learning to be done out there in the real world. So they would go pick up a job, they would learn something, spend some years, and then feel, oh, this is not for me. I'm not enjoying. This is not my life's calling. Then quit the job, look for something else. Again, second job is not really always your answer. So life would go on like that. Now, your generation, you millennials are very smart. Now, your generation is talking all about, much more. You're talking about above and beyond just a paycheck. In your case, you are very clear. What is the purpose of my life? I want to make an impact. I want to change the world. These are the things I commonly hear when I interact with millennials. That uh, they're very clear that what they don't want. But I am trying to assist you today with what do you really want? How do you decide what you want? So now that is from your perspective, that either you find a way to understand yourself, your talent, and then follow a path, or then you keep learning, experimenting. But what does it mean to employers? Not everyone out there will be looking for jobs. Some of you will be, forming a startup. And I, being with MSME and startups, I'm hearing some very, I'm sorry, I'm hearing some fantastic ideas, very, very innovative ideas. So I'm sure some of you will be leading your organizations too. Now, what does it mean to an organization when employees come and then they are not certain if they're enjoying it? There's a lot of stress. There's a burnout. Now, mind you, burnout is very, very different from stress. And then they start looking out for new opportunity. They go for new jobs. But trust me, today, in these very challenging times like COVID, it's not even easy to find a new job. Now, when I'm saying that people are getting stressed and burnout, it's not only now. People were getting stressed and burnout earlier also. But under these COVID times, everything has been amplified. Everything has become 10x. And in this case, even much more. So, what does this mean to employers? When employees are not certain what they want, there will be less employee engagement. There will be less employee retention. And, and the costs are staggering to the organizations. And for you as an individual too, it's costing your life, your precious years. So costs are very high. So like I said, your generation is talking about making an impact. When they come up with product, they are looking for some solution to world problems. When they're coming up with business ideas, they are trying to solve a problem. That's great. We really appreciate it. And I guess, yes, you will be giving us direction in the future. But it's very, very important to understand, coming back to my previous question, strengths. Now, let us try to understand talent before we go to strength. Now, what is talent? Now, talent is something very, very neutral. Talent will not really change anything. Talent is something what you are. Basically, it could be something inherent, like the color of your hair or color of your eyes. That is something as natural as that. Talent is something, let's say, something which is naturally recurring pattern of thought, of feeling, or your behavior. That is what talent is. That can be productively applied. That is what talent is. So, talent just exists. Is basically not your solution to everything. You have a talent. That means you basically have a potential. That is a potential to take you somewhere, to make your life successful. So, talent, if you use it or you don't use it, it's there, it stays. Now, strength is different. Strength is the ability. You may notice down, you can note down what is talent, what is strength, and then we will come to this again. Make a note of this. Strength is the ability to consistently produce a near perfect, yes, I mean to say a near perfect positive outcome in a specific task. Now, it may sound complicated, but let me give you an example. Vinod Kamli, the cricketer, Vinod Kamli and Sachin Tendulkar. Undoubtedly, I had read and we've seen a lot of it, and we'd read, there's a case study too. So, Vinod Kamli is no doubt far more talented. But tell me, who's more successful, Kamli or Tendulkar? Who's more successful?
Tendulkar.
Tendulkar.
Yeah.
Tendulkar.
Yes, but why? Okay.
Because he practiced more, he knew his strength, and he focused on more on his goals and applied it on his career and worked hard for it.
Fantastic, Ansh. That's exactly my point. Practice. Talent is something you may have, but if you do not hone the talent, if you do not sharpen the skills, then it's pointless. You'll have it. It doesn't go away. It doesn't come with an expiry date. That you have talent, and because you didn't use it, it went away. Yes, practice will only convert. That's basically your responsibility. Once you know your talent, it's your responsibility to convert it into strength. Now, talent. What is talent? Now, as I said, it is something inherent that's there in you. But remember, there is no hierarchy in that A talent is very good and B talent is very bad. No, it's again very subjective and very relative. If you have X talent and you're going in a wrong career, then you will not be able to amplify on that. So there are many combinations over here. So talent is something, if I can explain to you, it's something, each one of us has something, and how best we make use of it is up to us. Now, let's not make this into another rat race that, look, he has this talent and I should have that. You cannot change it. See, you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses. Strengths we have to amplify on. In weakness, we will have to manage about it. If I can say, it's something like the cards which have been dealt to you. You have a pack of cards and it is being distributed between us. So each one of us have to play with the cards that we have in our hands. That's the way it works. So that's about talent. Now, again, in talent, now there are various different themes, so there are various different studies. I will talk about one example which has signature themes. Now, signature themes is something which is your top 5 talent themes. Now, these are the themes that you always lead with. It's like your default settings. Under any situation, you will be operating. This comes very naturally. Now, when I asked a question, there are so many of you here. Immediately, one person. I'll discuss with you a little later, Anj, which quality that I see in you. But basically, what I mean to say is, each one of us there's an inherent nature that will pop out any given time. Like a teacher will ask the class to, take some responsibility. There'll be some people who will always raise a hand. Doesn't matter what task it is, but it is a compulsive nature that I have to do it. I need to do it, So these are different themes that each one of us have. Now, these, mind you, are very, very unique themes that each one of us has. Like, let's say, all of us here, your classroom and your faculty and your administrative team here, myself, we all might, for instance, have one theme in common. Let's say we all have leadership. Let's say we all have a related theme. So that does not mean we all are same. The other 4 themes, that combination will be different for each one of us. And that is what makes each one of us very, very unique. And to share with you, these themes are so unique, they're as unique as your fingerprint. each one of us has our themes as unique as a fingerprint. That's 1 in 33 million. That unique is our characteristic or our makeup. So those were like roughly to explain signature themes. Then we have certain themes that we have in us. They are called responsive themes. Now, these themes you have, but will not be showcased, or you'll not be able to put it on display in your everyday life. Only under a particular situation they'll fire up. These are called responsive themes. Then we also have something called non-talent. It's something different, it's a little difficult to understand that non-talent is basically a theme that rarely shows up. You have that talent in you, but it doesn't really come up. And not to confuse this with weakness, non-talent is not a weakness really. So like I said earlier, once you understand what your talent is, converting talent into strength is absolutely your responsibility to make your life more successful. Now, when we say like talents and themes and strengths, why it is important. Sometimes what happens that you may be very good at numbers. It's if I say that you're very good at numbers, you're very good at calculations, then the obvious choices should be in a career like chartered accountancy, or could be into some kind of mathematical area or scientific where you require the math and calculations. So now, if this personality is put in a sales job, so say you're smart, you're intelligent. So that does not mean you will fail in your sales. You will still be a good salesman. You will still achieve the target set by the company. You will be able to manage all of that and you will do well. But the point today I'm trying to drive home is, what if you were put in the chartered accountancy field? What if you were in accounting or mathematical area? And what if you were not just successful, but you would excel? The difference is, see, you all are in a very prestigious university, so you all are doing well. And you all are successful. To even make it at this level, you all are successful. But now we are talking about a difference. Now, difference is in being successful and in achieving excellence. That is very, very important. And that little crucial difference will, keep you apart from that goals or that achievement that you're aiming for. So that is the point when you work from your strengths. You can leverage on your strengths, you will be able to achieve far more. And besides achievement, I mentioned about stress and burnout. That will drastically reduce. You will be able to lead a life more fulfilling and a more satisfying life, career-wise also. Talent. Now, what is talent? Before we get into more details, more intrinsic details, talent is something, if you roughly have to sit back and think of all those times where you enjoy doing what you were doing. Talent is something enduring. Every time that thing will come out. That particular trait of yours will come out. So talent is something which comes repeatedly in your tasks, in your functions, in your life. It comes very easily to you. And it gives you joy. It does not drain you. It does not sap your energy. It rather gives you energy. So that is something, roughly, if you have to sit back and think about what is your talent. If you could sit and think about all the instances, major milestones in your life, and how your traits came up that repeatedly keeps up in all your activities, which comes very easily to you and gives you joy. Now, that is your talent. Now, what does strength do, or how is strength reflected? Like I mentioned earlier, it is something consistent, near perfect performance in any activity. And like Ansh mentioned earlier, it's something like your 10,000 hours theory. By the way, that has also been debunked now. So the funny thing is, there's these researchers and sciences come out, and then later they are debunked and they take a U-turn. So I'm not going to tell you that what path you should be taking today. All I'm trying to do is trying to make you aware of your talent, how you should convert it to your strengths, and how you should operate from your area of strength. Practice. So now 10,000 hours theory has been recently debunked, but we are trying to delve into the truth behind the 10,000 hour rule that show how you become great at anything. There is no overnight success. That overnight success has taken 10,000 hours. It's just because you do not know about that. We think, oh, it's an overnight success. So the 10,000 hour rule is not really about number of hours you put in, or but it's all about the deliberate practice. If you want to become great at anything, it matters how much. It matters more how you practice and how much you practice. It's not only about hours, you know. If you keep doing it wrong at 10,000 hours or maybe 20,000 hours, you are not going to succeed in that. How many hours and how you practice is very, very important. Now, after telling you that how difficult it may be to understand your strength, understand your talent, and how difficult it will be to find such a yogi or Baba to give you all these answers, and equally challenging it can be to understand yourself. Now, see, like it's something like when I sit and do my own assessment, fine, with certain experience, you may be doing good, but it's something like your Arogya Setu app. People are, they themselves are filling in that I have not come in contact with an affected person. I have not. So, how truthfully and how knowledgeably you filling in will give you the outcome. Maybe you have people around you who are carriers, but you don't know. So it's GIGO rule over here. So now, how do you come to understand your talent? It's not that difficult anymore. There are many scientific tools and scientific approaches available today. The world has changed. Earlier, during our times, I didn't even know about such things, even if they existed. But now this has become more and more prevalent. Earlier, company CEOs were just CEOs. They would lead the team and they would give direction. But now, their job is even more challenging. They almost end up playing coach and mentor also. So things are changing. And good organizations have been implementing good practices. These have become like all your SOPs now. It's not just you hire talent and that's about it, you leave it, you know. There are a lot of input support provided. But as I said, these are very, very challenging times, and nothing is same anymore. So since you are still at this time and stage where you are still to decide what should your future course be, I think the understanding about yourself will help you go a long way. Like I mentioned, companies are also spending precious dollars for employee retention and, you know, to avoid draining resources, and also it's affecting their output. So companies are developing these scientific tools And then there are many such tools available also. One such is Gallup Strength Finder. Then there is this psychogeometric. Then there is disc assessment, to name a few. There are many more. There are many more such signature developed themes also. In fact, if you invite someone, they may develop specifically for your students, for your institute as well. There are such very customized, tailor-made packages also available. So after knowing your talent, if you do not convert them into strength, then it'll be a sheer waste of time. So talent, I will repeat, is something which is enduring. Every time it'll come up, you will be able to do this with great ease, and you will enjoy doing. You will enjoy doing it. Now, that is what talent is. Now, your job is to find investment in your talent. Like Ansh mentioned, practice. Yes. Now, you either practice, you build knowledge. Once you find what your talents are, you read about it, you join a particular program or course. You pick up experience. You go and want to intern in that role or something. So that will help you convert your talent into skills, and you practice, of course. This will lead to strength. So, and what does strength do? Again, I'm going to repeat it. Consistent, near perfect performance in any activity is the outcome that you will be able to derive with the help of your strength. Now, of course, it makes sense to invest in talents to get better results. But also, you need to understand there's something called skill trap. Something that you're very good at. Skill trap is something that you are good at, you have that talent, but you do not enjoy doing it. Now, you remember my definition for talent is something which is recurring, which is enduring. It comes very easily, and you are enjoying it. So if you're not enjoying it, then that is one of your skill trap. With a lot of practice, maybe you've been doing it, but it is not something that will help you get the beneficial outcome. Excellence can only be achieved by using your talent and enjoying it. Then, even after knowing your strengths, there's always a blind spot. You know what I mean by blind spot? Like, let's say you have a talent. Now, that talent itself can become a hindrance to you. Let's say you have a talent. Very good. You've identified your talent. You've practiced. You've converted that into your strength. But if it doesn't match that position or that area of work, then it's your weakness. It becomes weakness in that situation. Another blind spot is, like, let's say, I'll give you an example that will help you understand better. You have a talent, like, let's say, sun. The strength of sun is it's shining bright. It gives energy to the planet Earth. The world rises with sun and sets with sun, and we derive energy from sun. Sun is the life force, plant, animal, us, all of it, Now, sun is bright. Now, the strength itself can become weakness. Now, because it's bright, we cannot say, now, today I'm feeling very hot. Can I dim it? Can we reduce the power? The whole strength is that, and that will turn into a hindrance also. So there can be blind spots. Then you'll have to balance it, like ice, snow. You go to snowy place, it's very hot over here. I want to go for a holiday. I want to go to some nice destination. And then you can't say that, no, it's too cold. Can I adjust the temperature? You cannot do that. So your talents can also sometimes become your blind spots. So we call it something called balconies and basements. So one thing is to know your talent. Number two is to convert them into strength, and then to match it with the right profile or role or balancing it. Then the concept of balconies and basement. Now, balconies, commonly said in a building, in a structure. What is balcony? Balcony is a very beautiful part, where people want to decorate it. You want to put like plants, you put like, you put some good decorative things. And basement is something which is not seen to your guest. People do not see basement. Basement is not what you show them. Yes, I've seen some comments. I'll come to you later. Yeah. So now the thing is balconies and basement. Balcony is something you display, you flaunt, you show. This is my house. This is my beautiful balcony. And basement is somewhere you keep your stock. When guests come, you don't take them to basement. Yeah. So accordingly, now how you nicely utilize your strength is up to you. I have seen a comment over here that I still want to work on my weakness. Agreed. You cannot run away. Devam, you're very right. You have to work on your weaknesses. Weaknesses will also not go away. But my point is that we have to find ways to manage it. Your weakness will not become your strength. Like I mentioned in your boards, you need to pass in all the subjects. I can't say that, hey, listen, that is my weakness, so I'm not going to study that subject. I will only study this subject. You will require that knowledge too. Like, let's say if I want to start a company, okay? I cannot say that, look, I have a brilliant idea and I will run my company. You need an accountant. You need a financial expert also. Only my idea will not drive. I will not be able to run my business only with an idea. There are a lot of aspects required. So I may say, like, look, I have a brilliant idea. I'm a strategic manager, but I'm not very good at accounts, so I don't want to do that. No, you will need to have knowledge. You need to have basic knowledge. Then you can hire one of the best financial accountant to help you. But you need to have basic knowledge that you can't be taken for a ride. Second thing is, strength and weakness. Yes, you should work on your weakness. You should manage your weakness. But you have to find an area where most of your work, most of your function is not that weak area. You can pick up, like if you're doing something like, for example, you're a professor of XYZ subject. So you're teaching that subject. But at the end of the day, you have to come up with student assessment. I can't say that, no, I only like to teach. And then you have to set up timetable. You have to figure out a lot of other things also. But you do that minimal. So whichever is your weaker area, definitely you have to manage it. But you cannot make your basement into your balcony. Basement will remain there. You clean up, you organize that. But you find help to move on, how to manage with that. So whichever your weak areas is, you cannot avoid completely, but do less of that and more of where you drive energy from, where your strength is, where your natural talent is, so that you can maximize. When you operate from that level, the results are very different. I was talking about not just being successful. We are talking about having a successful, fulfilled, but a life of excellence. That is a big difference. With your fantastic lineup of faculty in your institute and the team that you have very good coaching. But now at this stage, you need to further skyrocket. You cannot be happy with just being successful. So that was the point. You have to work on your weakness, but manage it. But push on your strengths. What I would like to end by saying is, to finish with strength, first you need to start with talent. So that's roughly the gist of my talk today. Now, Also, there are, as I said, there are various different models out there. Some of them give you very broad buckets. DISC is dividing into 4 major quadrants, whereas Gallup Strength Finder goes into your signature themes. It talks about 34 different themes and how, after taking an assessment, you will get your top 5 strength. Okay. Now, when you say you have top 5, does not mean that they're basically 34. No, I'm sorry, they're 36. So that does not mean you do not have other qualities. You do not have other talent. Maybe after constantly doing some work in a particular field, and after like a 5-year period gap, or maybe after 2 years, you do that assessment again, the number of your 5 themes may change. Your number 1 may become number 4. Number 4 may come up to, number 1 or 2. And maybe a new strength may come up. Now, that does not mean that your earlier talent has gone away. It's still there. But with your current profile, your current practicing, current investment in a particular talent, the result, your top 5 have changed. It's just the order changing. It does not take away anything. It does not take away, or your talent will not go away. It stays. It's a lifetime thing. So what you have, you have. It's not going to go away. Now, a little bit about balconies and basement, as I was trying to explain to you. So balconies is something which we will always want to showcase. When you go for a meeting, or if you're giving a presentation, you want to put your best foot forward. So you will be talking about your best strength or your best quality. No one will go out and say, that this is my weak area or something, unless it's really required. And why it's very, very important to know your talent and your strengths. See, even if you go for a job interview, it's a very common question they ask you to start with. Tell me something about yourself. First thing people end up saying, I am XYZ, I have done this. Now, see, it's all there in your resume. Don't waste your time on that. Say something which is not put in your profile. Number 2, what are your strengths? Now, when they're asking you what are your strengths, they will be looking at your profile and trying to see how much it is matching with it. So, don't go into soul-searching journey again. But before you answer anyone, you yourself need to understand what is your strength and what value will you be adding to the profile. Yeah, I'm just seeing your message. See, what you are learning is acquired knowledge. Whereas what I'm telling you about strength, Pandya, Dipsa Pandya, what I'm trying to tell you is strength is not something that you have. You're born with talent. You have to convert it into strength. Now, what talent you have, you already have. It's an inherent thing. But before you try to make it your best strength, you need to understand what are your strengths. So, like as I said, a very simple thing, what keeps recurring. If you sit back and think, your major milestones in life, where you had to major exams, major subjects, major decision making. When you came to this institute, you may have weighed your options, your pros and cons, which direction, which stream would you want to follow in, what is your career goal, and why. So think about it. Now, earlier they were like, I'm telling you, during my time when we were studying, it was very, very simple. The most brilliant people with high score, by brilliant, I'm talking about the academic result. The high scorers went for science. It was doctor or engineer. The ones with not very, very basic, average or below average score went for arts. And the in between mediocre ones went for commerce. It was very easy. Now, it didn't even matter really. Parents said, oh, you got 90. So anywhere you meet relatives, you have friends, you meet anyone, professors, they just say, oh, you got 90, go for science. Or you got like, you've just managed to pass, you go for arts. Frankly speaking, today most options are provided by arts. Everything has changed. And thanks to more and more such researchers coming out, that people are able to decide on different career paths, more options are available. So all that old thinking has been debunked, it's been rubbished, and so much more scientific approach has brought in, which will benefit. Otherwise, what happens? You get into engineering, and then after a few years, you feel, in the eyes of the world, you're very successful. You got a very high paying job, or there was a trend, there was a big IT boom. Everyone who was engineering, go abroad. It's very simple, go abroad. So then people were doing that, and materialistically, it looked like you're very successful. But there was a huge burnout happening. They were fed up that I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. This is not what I wanted to. But we didn't have much understanding that why. And the only people who could guide us were our parents, who would tell us, okay, take this, or go for this course, or someone who's little more, smartest uncle around would give you advice. Now, were they qualified enough to do that? Maybe they knew better than you at that point in time, but they were not experts in this field. Today, we're living in a world of specialization and expertise. We're in expertization and specialization world era. And we're talking about, changing the world, talking about the global environmental issues. Earlier, something happening in Iceland was limited to there. Today, everything that happens in any corner of the globe is affecting all of us. COVID is such a big revelation. It's like, till even if one person is not safe, none of us are safe. So now our perspective to things has changed. The question, every time when we try to focus on our strength, our weakness always tries to pull us back, but then also the will of working and focus on our strength and never giving up help us to achieve our goals. Nice. But, if you would understand this, you would know this, there'll be less struggle. By knowing your talent and strength, I'm not saying you will not have any stress in life. I'm not saying that you will not have any of these struggles and challenges. Life is full of struggles and challenges that will stay. But at least this part will be taken care of. You will be having more fulfilled career. You will be feeling that, yes, you are bringing something to the organization. You are adding value to the organization. And that amount of satisfaction is unparalleled. So before we come to strength, it's very, very important to understand our talent. And like a couple of you have mentioned weakness, yes, we are not talking about not to work on your weakness. You will need to manage your weakness. You will have to work on that, but your focus should be your strength, because from strength you will be able to achieve far more productive output than compared to managing your weakness. Now, suppose if you have your weakness, you managed it, you scored, you managed, and you came there. But with your weakness, if you have to work on that subject where you have to push your weakness day in and day out. Now, if you have a team, your counterpart or your colleague who is working from his area of strength, he will finish the task or job in 1 hour. You will also finish the task. You will also do it very well. If you're coming from your weakness, you may still do it well. But if you're going to spend 4 hours in achieving, which can be done in 1 hour, then it's a loss of your productive time. It's loss of the organization's time. And then the feeling of being stressed and burnout. That is a very big drain to you, to the organization. So it's very important to understand you cannot ignore your weaknesses, but you have to operate from your strength and manage your weaknesses. And every strength, I just mentioned about sun and I mentioned about snow and ice. But every strength, every quality will have its pitfall or its blind spot. And you will have to find a way to balance it. Because if you're qualified in one, you're very good, you're excellent. But if you're going to not be using that in your day to day work, you do that. You will end up doing your task which might involve your weakness also, but do less of that. Pick up a role where you have more of daily working on your strengths. Yeah, Miss Devam, I answered your question. Yeah, so we need to work on a strength, definitely. Yes. I agree with what you say over here. Yeah. Are there any more questions? I'm seeing some questions. I think I've answered whatever I
Yes,
could
ma'am.
see over
I have one
here.
question.
Yes, man. Okay, I see some more questions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
man.
how do you know your strengths and weaknesses? I mean, is there any proper method, or just by knowing and believing yourself, we can say that, this is my strength and this is my weaknesses? How
Yeah.
do I identify that?
Yes, man, you're very right. It's not a very easy answer. It may seem so. After someone tells you, then you know, yes, I know these are my strengths. Um, like I jokingly said, I said it in humor that probably Yogi Baba can come and tell you what are your, what is your soul journey, or what are your talents or strengths. But that was just in jest. I also said you will find one, it will take a lifetime to find such an evolved yogi to come and tell you. See, if you have to do it, your personal self discovery, one is trial and error. But we are in this instant gratification world. You do not have the luxury of time that you pick up a stream, then after graduation, you feel, oh my God, this is not what I wanted to do. Or you pick up a job, you spend, see, as I said, all the B schools will not teach you everything. So if you go pick up a job and there's a learning process, there will be some time before you pick up the nuances of the role or profile that you have to work in. And then after a couple of years, you feel, I did this, but you know what, it's not for me. Then you say, forget it, I'm quitting, I found another opportunity, I'm going. But that again may not be the magical answer for you. Again, you may end up doing another trial and error. So it may take half your lifetime to figure out what you really want, and other half will try to implement it by the time you make it into your strength. So is there an easy way out? Like I said, simply if you want to sit back and understand, you do your own self-assessment. Look at all those major areas in life that every time when you had to do a decision making, when you had to take a decision, from where, what was a constant, recurring, enduring thing that came up? Two, it should be giving you joy when you're doing it. And it should come very easily, not like a dilemma that Arjun is standing in front of his own relatives and not knowing, should I fight, not fight. I don't want you to get into such a big, nerve-wracking experience. He had Lord Krishna with him. So what I would suggest is there are many scientific tools. I mentioned some of them. One very commonly available and used in the corporate world is Gallup Strengths Finder. It's a very easy test. It helps you understand what are your talents. And then every theme, I mentioned one or two themes like relator or something. So it'll help you discover your 36 main talent streams, your strengths. Each one of them will be nicely defined and explained, and each one of them, they have their own balconies and basements, or how each one of them may have its positive and negative is very beautifully explained. That is one method. Second is I have done this strengths finder, so I'm sharing with personal experience. Then there is psychogeometrics. Psychogeometrics is also very beautiful and interesting concept. Again, a friend of mine is a founder of a very signature style program in India, and she made me do this test. So their organization is Bloom, and they are out there to make impact in people's lives, especially for you youth. So there is psychogeometric, where they put you in different shapes, and then explain the characteristic associated with each shape and how to overcome that, how each of them behave. So it's more about psychogeometrics. These are all very scientific study. There's no mumbo jumbo, quite detailed. Then there is a disc method. So there are many of them available. And then there are people who come up with very specific program. Like when you tell them, when organizations approach them, that this is what we are looking for, this is what outcome we desire from this test. They define a specific test for you. They conduct these programs. A lot of them are available on the internet now. And earlier, someone sitting in US was quite far away. We had internet, we had access to everything. But now under COVID, everything is even more easier. There are so many of them offering many such programs. You write to them personally, and they will help you, not just waiting for a whole classroom to take a test, but they can help you individually also. So yes, there are many such scientific tools available. And simply, if you do not want to go in for any of those, try to see what gives you energy, what comes naturally to you, and what gives you joy. Simple. Anything that is draining you, sapping you, then it's not there. It's not for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, any questions, students, from your end?
Yes, ma'am, I have one question.
Okay.
Yeah, so ma'am, my question is that is it possible that if we work on our weaknesses and we work on our weaknesses so much that it ultimately becomes our strength, will it be helpful for personality?
Yes, Devam. I saw your question earlier also, that you would like to work on your weakness. I'll repeat. You have to manage your weakness. It's not that you should ignore that. But like I mentioned, scientifically, see, to happen, anything can happen in the world. Okay, होने को कुछ भी हो सकता है. Like I started with that magic. So yeah, you can create your own magic, but scientifically, it does not say that your weakness will become your strength. Your weakness, you can improve, you can get better, but your strength is something which will lead to excellence. Your weakness will not become your strength. Very clearly. And this is done after conducting years and years of research, after interviewing and going in-depth analysis with over 10 million cases. So this is a very, very thoroughly conducted science. And it clearly says that your weakness cannot become your strength.
Thank you, ma'am.
In fact, I know our time is up. When I was approached, and in fact, even before starting the session, I told Vaishali Chi that 1 hour is so long that people will lose interest, and it'll be only a monologue, which I think is not right. But it just flew by. Even I did not realize. So I think this is probably my strength. But jokes apart, in case you have further queries, I am there on LinkedIn, FB, and all the social platforms. We can connect. You can still share your questions. I tried to answer as many questions that I could see available on the chat. But in case if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Ma'am, just one more question I want to ask you, is it possible that if you are working on your strength, on your talent and making it your strength, that if that particular thing is getting demotivated many a time, that is it possible that your way that the between that gap period of talent to strength, if it is getting demotivated, then it become your weakness? Is it that possible?
See, I mentioned something about skill trap, that there may be a talent, you have a talent, and you may be very good at it. But if you are not enjoying, then that's a skill trap. Okay, so something which is demotivating you or sapping you down. So then that's a skill trap. You think it's your skill, you think it's a great talent, but no. The three very basic, simple, I can tell you, litmus tests. It should be enduring. Every time it should come up. Like I mentioned, there are some talents which are only responsive talent, that throughout in your day to day you will not see that, but only under particular situation will fire up. Okay, then so there are various different talents like that. And so the skill trap one, you think you have it, but it is not a talent. Like, it should be enduring, happening every time, coming with very great ease, not like you have to worry about it. It should come flow very easily, and it should give you joy. You should be able to enjoy it. Then only it is called your true talent, and you can convert that into your strength. Then there is non-talent. Like I said, non-talent is something that will rarely show up. You have it, but just because you have it and it's not coming up, then but it still does not mean it's your weakness.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ditsa.
I think all the questions are covered. Yes, Ansh, Devam, Man, and Neil. Any questions now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, continue, please.
Actually, ma'am, every time when I have a personal experience, like when every time I get bored or usually I don't have anything to do, I come up with particular kind of research. Means every time I go on internet and find a particular topic, and I like to every time do a research on that topic and write it in my diary. But every time I get bored, I find this interesting. So is this kind of weakness or distracting my mind from my goals, or this is kind of my strength?
Okay, number one, what we need to do is, I don't want to give you a just yes or no, because I want to we need to understand your other areas also. So what I'm going to do is, I've already shared with your coordinator earlier about some experts. We plan to bring them to you, and we will do a more structured direct program that will help you bring more clarity. Today we only did a very sensitizing of the subject to understand your strength. This is far more detailed and far more intricate to understand, to give you a near perfect result, a near perfect outcome. Yeah? And yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, man.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have one question.
Sure.
Yes. Ma'am, I know one word. The word is skill. Ma'am, I will take one example.
Yeah.
When we see that Virat Kohli playing in the ground, right?
Yeah.
We say that he is very skillful.
Mm-hmm.
So the word skill comes under your strength or your talent, or it's like just inherited from your parents.
No. Skill, as we said, we have to convert it. Okay. Talent is something you're inborn. Strength, skill you can pick up. Talent you cannot pick up. So, but I don't know how much detail the commentators go into, like, he has a skill or something, how much scientifically they've gone into it. But today we can say that's Virat's strength also, right? So talent is something you are born with. Like some people, as I mentioned, they have some fears, they have some phobias, or in fact, in same family or your classroom. We saw some of you all said you want to work on strength, and some said weakness. Now you all are having same education, same faculty, and I gave you the same talk. but you all have different thought process. Similarly, in a family, when they've been brought up in the same environment, same, parents have been giving the same kind of upbringing to both the kids, but you'll find that they turn out to be very different people, because that is their inherent talent. They're naturally born, whatever their talents are. And then if they convert it into strength, then wow, there's no looking back.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your valuable time. And thank you, Ansh, Devam, Dipsa, Neil, and Mon for joining the webinar and discussing with the madam. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you very
It was
much, everyone.
quite helpful to our students, ma'am.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you very much, all of you. And it was great to have all these very interactive session. And as I said, I didn't want a PPT. I said I don't want to constrain myself to a certain thought process only.
Yes.
So wonderful, great pleasure being here. Okay, I'll take your leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
I would like to thank the management of Parlour University for supporting and motivating us continuously. Thank you, students.
Good day,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.